In the theater of modern global politics, there are moments that transcend ordinary legislative debate, moments that serve as an archaeological excavation of a civilization's dying norms. On May 17th, 2026, the American public witnessed such an excavation. For the first time in years, a man who has been called a deranged animal, a criminal, a disgrace to humanity, and a radical left Marxist 185 times on social media alone, sat directly before the United States Congress. His name is Jack Smith. He did not raise his voice. He did not engage in the theatricality that has come to define 21st century governance. Instead, with a stoicism that felt almost ancient, the former special counsel looked the committee in the eye and delivered a line that will echo through the halls of legal history. I will not be intimidated. I followed the facts. I followed the law. That process resulted in proof beyond a reasonable doubt that he committed serious crimes. And I am not going to pretend that did not happen just because he is threatening me. I will not be intimidated. I followed the facts. I followed the law. That process resulted in proof beyond a reasonable doubt that he committed serious crimes. And I am not going to pretend that did not happen just because he is threatening me. To understand the weight of this moment, we must look past the immediate partisan noise. We must analyze what it means when the international superpower, the structural linchpin of global trade, Western military alliances, and democratic institutions, begins to systematically dismantle its own legal architecture. Jack Smith's appearance before Congress was not just a hearing about past indictments. It was a living relic of an America that existed before January 20th, 2025. He represents the archetype of the career public servant, the kind of prosecutor who chose a life of government service over a lucrative partnership at a prestigious global law firm. But today, that archetype is near extinction. As we analyze the transcript of this extraordinary hearing, we uncover a deeper, more chilling reality: a global superpower transitioning from a system governed by institutional rules to one governed by absolute, personalized power. Beneath the political theatrics and the calculated chaos of the congressional chamber, Jack Smith laid out the raw, unvarnished truth of his investigation. For years, his team worked in the shadows, building a case brick by brick according to the strict guidelines of the Department of Justice. What did he find? He confirmed to the American people, under oath, that his investigation yielded definitive proof of crimes that strike at the very heart of state stability: the willful retention of national defense information, crimes prosecuted under the Espionage Act, carrying penalties of up to 10 years per count. This isn't merely about misplaced documents. In the realm of geopolitics, the mishandling of classified intelligence compromises international networks, defense capabilities, and alliances from NATO to the Indo-Pacific. A criminal scheme to overturn a free and fair election. A coordinated effort to disrupt the peaceful transfer of power, the foundational mechanism that ensures the stability of the world's largest economy. Smith explicitly stated that he has no regrets and stands by every decision made by his office. The evidence gathered was not ambiguous. It was designed to be proven to a jury of 12 ordinary citizens beyond a reasonable doubt. Yet, the case could not be finished. In a functioning democracy, the accumulation of such evidence triggers the standard operation of the judicial system. But we no longer live in standard times. Instead of an objective evaluation of these legal facts, the hearing exposed an entirely different phenomenon: the complete erosion of shared reality. As political analysts noted during the broadcast, we have entered an era where congressional hearings no longer function as search mechanisms for truth. During the historic Watergate hearings, members of both political parties eventually responded to the mounting weight of physical evidence, choosing institutional loyalty over blind partisan defense. Today, that system is inverted. The current congressional structure acts not as a check on executive power, but as its chief enabler, adopting a strategy of continuous, unyielding denial, regardless of the evidentiary record. To fully comprehend the geopolitical implications of this shift, we must look at what is happening to the internal mechanics of the American state. A superpower cannot project power abroad if its internal enforcement mechanisms are weaponized or hollowed out during the post-hearing analysis. A deeply profound point was raised regarding the Overton window, the boundary of ideas tolerated. In public discourse, before the current political era, the Department of Justice housed hundreds of career professionals who operated under a strict ethical framework, protect the state, follow the law, and remain insulated from political influence. They were the senior prosecutors, the veteran FBI agents, and the institutional architects who kept the wheels of justice turning regardless of who occupied the White House. Where are they now? They have been systematically purged, legally threatened, and reputationally smeared across right-wing media ecosystems. When career professionals are forced out, they are not replaced by neutral actors. They are replaced by individuals whose primary qualification is absolute loyalty to a singular political figure rather than the Constitution. This turns the state apparatus into what political commentators call a spectacle of menace. In this environment, the generation of media content and the projection of raw power override traditional governance. When top-tier law enforcement officials are more concerned with coordinating social media messaging and cultivating public spectacles than maintaining the integrity of international intelligence operations, the structural stability of the state begins to fracture. 638. Jack Smith stands as the ultimate antithesis to this carnival of absurdity. He is a sober figure in an increasingly chaotic political landscape. His presence reminds us that the hollowing out of institutions doesn't just affect domestic politics, it alters how a superpower interacts with the rest of the world. When foreign adversaries look at a nation whose premier law enforcement agency is subjected to internal political purges, they do not see a stable partner. They see an opening. Perhaps the most chilling moment of the entire congressional exchange occurred when Vermont Congresswoman Becca Balint asked Jack Smith about his own future. She asked if he believed that the restructured Department of Justice would find a way to indict him. In a past era, such a question would sound like political paranoia or dystopian fiction. But Smith's response was immediate, clear, and devoid of hesitation. I believe that they will do everything in their power to do that, because they've been ordered to by the president. Let the weight of that statement sink in. A former special counsel, appointed to investigate threats to national security and democratic integrity, sitting before the legislature, stating calmly that he expects to face criminal prosecution, not because he violated the law, but precisely because he followed it. This represents a complete inversion of the rule of law. When the machinery of justice is repurposed to punish those who enforce the law against the powerful, the system ceases to be a legal framework. It becomes an instrument of pure retribution. This strategy serves a dual purpose on the global stage. First, it satisfies the domestic demand for political spectacle and vengeance. Second, and more importantly, it acts as a stark warning to any remaining institutional actors. It signals to every rank-and-file agent, every judge, and every civil servant that institutional integrity will no longer protect you. If the state can dismantle and prosecute a high-profile figure like Jack Smith, it can do it to anyone. As an anonymous channel focusing on global news and geopolitics, we must look at the macro-level consequences of this domestic unraveling. The internal legal framework of the United States is not an isolated domestic issue. The global order, from international financial markets to maritime security agreements, relies on the Predictability of American institutions. When the world's primary superpower replaces a rule-based legal system with a model driven by personalized authority and political retribution, global stability is compromised. Alliances lose their predictability. Treaties become subject to the whims of an unchecked executive, the moral authority required to champion democratic norms against autocratic regimes. Worldwide evaporates. Jack Smith's testimony was more than a defense of his unfinished legal cases. It was a final warning about the closing of an era. It showed us what happens when a nation transitions from a system where facts are foundational to one where power determines truth. The stoicism displayed by the former special counsel reminds us of what is being lost, as the volume to report of his investigation hangs in the balance, potentially revealing even more extensive evidence of institutional vulnerability. The world watches closely. The hearing of May 17, 2026, will not be remembered merely as a footnote in American political history. It will be studied as the moment the masks were completely removed, the day a career public servant told the world exactly what he found, fully aware of the personal cost. Because he believed the truth still mattered. The question that remains for the global community is simple. When the institutions of the world's most powerful democracy are successfully hollowed out, what replaces them on the global stage? Thank you for analyzing this critical moment with us. If you value deep dive, uncompromising geopolitical analysis, ensure you hit the subscribe button, share this video, and join the conversation in the comments below. Keep searching for the facts, because truth is golden.